Welcome back to Tim's Vinyl Confessions. I'm Tim Derling. Thank you for watching this episode, and if you haven't seen the other episodes yet, you can check those out. If you have seen the episodes, you know what to expect. I go through my vinyl collection by a particular artist and talk about the vinyl that I own. So sometimes there's missing gaps, sometimes I've got some specialty items. And today this is going to be a long one. You may have guessed from my shirt. This is going to be my Rush episode. So sit back, because if you know anything about Rush, you know we've got a lot of vinyl to talk about on Tim's Vinyl Confessions. Let's get started. Here's the first album, released in 1974. This is not the Moon Records version, the version that the band put out themselves. I wish I could say I had that. I've seen copies of it, but not cheap. This is a used copy on Anthem Records. It's a Canadian issue. And actually this is from 1977, because that's when Anthem Records was actually formed, and they reissued the previous albums, but they came out in 1974. It's pretty beat up. I may eventually get a better copy of it, but for now this is what I've got. This has someone's name and a date written on it, but I won't bother repeating that. I don't know this person, but sometime in 1983, for some reason they wrote right on the front cover, "Way to keep your records in shape." Alright, the back cover. Of course, this album is unique because it's the only Rush album that Neil Peart's not on. John Rutsey was the drummer. He's since passed on. Here are the song titles. I've always really liked the font that they used. It's the same font that they did the logo on. Some credits. And of course, I don't have, the copy I have doesn't even have a blank inner sleeve. This is a pretty typical Anthem Records blue label. Vinyl's not in bad shape considering how poor the rest of the album is as far as condition. Next up, 1975, the second Rush album, the one that adorns my shirt, Fly By Night. I love this album cover. Blue's my favorite color, so if it has blue as its base, chances are I'm going to like it quite a bit. So there's the front cover. This is actually, compare the first one to this one, much better shape. So whoever had this record before I bought it took very good care of it. Back cover, band members, song titles, credits. And this too is a Canadian Anthem Records issue. And this has an inner sleeve in it, which is in pretty good shape as well. Front cover. Neil Peart's handwritten lyrics with little designs on them, which are very cool. Now this is the first time I've noticed this, because I've got an earlier CD issue, so it doesn't have these lyrics in it, but the bottom of the lyrics to Rivendell, there's actually what looks to be a little bit of Elvish or Dwarvish written here. And there are pictures here. This is a picture, yeah, this is not a picture of the group, these are pictures of the road crew. Because a lot of Rush's road crew started with them in the early 70s, and they're still with them today, which is remarkable. And this is a picture of the producer Terry Brown. Here are the rest of the lyrics and the credits. Yeah, this vinyl is in excellent shape. Same Anthem logo on here. Up next, not the easiest Rush album to track down, their third album, Caress of Steel. This album cover is significant because it's the very first album cover where the artwork was designed by Hugh Syme, who would work from the band from this point on, and work with a lot of other great bands too. Go to hughsyme.com, HUGHSYME.com, and you'll see some examples of some albums that oh, I've got that album. Oh, I've seen that before. It's not just albums, it's billboards, but the guy's an art genius, basically, and he's best known for working with Rush, mostly because he started working with them in '75 and still does to this very day. It's Rush, Caress of Steel. There's like a wizard character here with a snake, a prism, and very mystical looking. Chances are this is based on a song on this record called The Necromancer, which is very Tolkien-esque. And this too is a Canadian Anthem Records version, but this one doesn't say 77 on it, it actually says 75. I'm not sure what that means. I'm not very good at when records actually came out, because if I wasn't actively into record collecting and buying music, I don't know when all these changes took place. So this is a back cover, song titles. This album is actually a gatefold, and a gatefold cover is very simply an album that opens up. So that means it opens up on the inside too. So here are photos of the group, and all the lyrics and credits are written in a very old style calligraphy. And it's interesting here because if you know your history of the band Rush, if you know your history of Kiss, you know they toured together a lot at this time. 1975, they were both kind of up-and-coming bands. And Rush actually thanked the members, the 4 original members of Kiss, inside this album, but sort of in code. The obvious one is Ape Friendly, and then there's Mr. Eisen. Paul Stanley's actual name, real name is Stanley Paul Eisen. So there's Ace and Paul. And there's an M. Louis, which I believe was Peter Criss, because he used to do this impression of this a French. I'm not exactly sure, but I think that's who they mean by there. And Big Macho, I can only assume they mean Gene Simmons. Just a little tidbit of info for fans of both bands like myself. I do have a Kiss episode I'm working on, but it's going to be a while, because it's going to be a long one too. Paper sleeve, and again, vinyl in very, very good shape. Same Anthem logo on here. So next up is what would be Rush's breakthrough album, 2112. 1976. Classic rock album right here. This picture is very often the butt of jokes, talking about the band's fashion sense. Was even commented upon in their induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2013 by Dave Grohl, the Foo Fighters, who inducted them. Made mention of that. This is the little blurb, the story of the first side, the side 2112, and all the song titles inside here. Pictures of the band again. That would become kind of their logo, the Starman logo. It started with this album. These are all the lyrics. And this is, I mean, it's kind of a corny thing, but I'm sure at the time it was unique. Special thanks to ... and then in brackets, insert your name here. They thanked me inside their album and they knew it, even though I was 2. Clear plastic sleeve on this one. Same Anthem logo so far. There haven't been any deviations. I mean, a lot of my vinyl is Canadian, and especially a lot of my Rush vinyl. But this is in really, really good shape. Up next, the reason I love collecting vinyl is because of the detail you get, just because of the sheer size of the medium that you don't get with other medium. 1976 also brought the first of many Rush live albums, All the World's a Stage. So you have Starman logo on the top there. This was recorded at Massey Hall in Toronto. It says here 2 record set, recorded live. Anthem Records version again. Back cover, song titles, band photos. Now this is a slightly older version of All the World's a Stage, and I can tell this because it says distributed by Polydor, which is a division of Polygram Records, which is now owned by Universal. But from 1977 onward, Anthem Records, for the next few years, were distributed by Capitol. In fact, all of the previous records I showed you were on Anthem Records, and they showed in this fine print, distributed by Capitol Records in Canada, but this one was distributed by Polydor. So even though this is more a recent release, it's older, it's older than the ones that followed it, even though those are older records. The editions that I personally have of them, and again, I didn't buy these new, are newer. If that makes any sense. I think I got myself confused now. Gatefold cover. This one's actually a triple gatefold. If we can get all this on here or not. So a little flimsy. Make sure I don't damage it. If you can see that all or not. It is just full of live shots of the group. If you flip it back here, here are the credits and the song titles and all of their albums up to this point. The band members' signatures are here. And so at each side here, unfortunately, you can't zoom in close enough on here because I'm filming this myself. But there's the Anthem logo, and another way that I could tell this is an older edition, the printing just looks older. However, still in very, very good shape. Where's the other record? Now the other record is actually in the middle, which is a little unusual. The rest of the song titles. Up until now, it seems like even people that owned Rush records and eventually sold them kept them in good shape because the vinyl is in very, very good shape. Up next, this is a period where they were just kind of firing on all cylinders, in my opinion. This is one of my favorites. 1977, A Farewell to Kings. And you have a puppet king there, the crown. There's puppet strings here. That doesn't show all that well if you have CDs or cassettes. Which is why I love vinyl so much. There's so much detail to be found here. On the back, more puppet strings, song titles. And this one is an Anthem issue, Canadian, and is distributed by Capitol Records. This too is a gatefold. So we have the lyrics, credits, band photo, and for the first time, an inner sleeve that has something on it. There's the Starman logo, band photos, Anthem logo again. It's interesting to note every record, however many songs on it, that's how many bands, as it's called, the songs are broken up into. So A Farewell to Kings, side 1 only has 2 songs on it. A Farewell to Kings and Xanadu. Xanadu is over 11 minutes long, so the space between my fingers on this record, that's 1 song. In 1978 was the release of Rush Archives. And this is a curious release only in that this has never seen CD release. It's never been released on CD. Yet it has. What it is, and I'll flip around to the back here and show you, it's a 3-record set of the band's first 3 albums, Rush, Fly By Night, and Caress of Steel. But for whatever reason, when CDs were originally issued and up to this very day, there has never been a CD issue made for Rush Archives. Very similar to Kiss with the originals, which is the same thing, a set of their first 3 albums. It's never been released on CD. This is a gatefold. Gatefold goes up and down, portraits of the group, some production information, song titles, and this is the first one in my collection that is not Canadian. This is American, and in the States, Rush were on Mercury Records. So we have 2 here, 2 records here. And this says the Mercury Record album. So this is different albums that were available at the time on Mercury Records, and it's actually quite a mix of artists, because you do have rock bits. Well, here you have The Farewell to Kings. I don't know if you can see that or not. That's Farewell to Kings, All the World's a Stage, Thin Lizzy, Bad Reputation, City Boy, Young Men Gone West, Best of BTO. But you also have the Statler Brothers, you have Rod Stewart, the Ohio Players, Con Function, Larry Gatlin. It's a little bit of everything. On the other side here, some more Mercury albums. There's 2112, Chuck Mangione, Boots Randolph, Johnny Rodriguez, the Boomtown Rats, and a very eclectic mixture of artists. Let's see what this actually looks like. Now, I like this here. This is the Mercury logo that they used, which had a picture. I'm just trying to find out information here. Of course, I can't find it. I'm pretty sure that Mercury Records was out of Chicago. If I look this up and I'm wrong, I apologize, but I think these are supposed to represent buildings in Chicago, maybe even the Mercury buildings. But I like this logo, and they used this up until the early 80s. And since I don't have a lot of Mercury records from the 70s, I haven't seen this too often. Same sleeve is on this one. That record I just showed you was the Rush album. This one here is Fly By Night. It says Rush Archives, that in brackets and quotations, Fly By Night, which logically leads to the inevitable assumption that this third sleeve contains Caress of Steel, and of course it does. So Rush Archives, one of the lesser seen Rush albums, and you don't hear much about it nowadays because you never found, there's no CD version of it. 1978, next Rush album, studio album. Hemispheres. I have to say I always hated this album cover. Back cover. Two big brains. Has to do with the story behind this. This is a Canadian version, Anthem Records, distributed by Capitol. So here are all the lyrics, pictures of the band. And this is one of the first Rush albums I found after I got into the band in the late 80s. And what was just so fascinating to me about this, because all I had were cassettes to that point, and old cassettes had very little of them for credits. I come upon this record, here are the lyrics, pictures I'd never seen before, information about the album. It was just, to me, it was just the coolest thing. I've got no sleeve with this one. This is the first one to have a customized label. It's got the two brains on it. So that's Hemispheres. 1980 is the next Rush album, and it's an album I wish I had kept my earlier version of it. I don't know why I got rid of it. This is Permanent Waves. Up here, in very small print, or very small writing, it says Permanent Waves, like it's coming across like a sound wave or a lie detector, a polygraph or whatever. This is Permanent Waves, they're very small print. And this is the American edition. It's got a Mercury logo right on the front of it. And neat thing about, you know, the Hugh Symes album covers, there was always more to it than at first glance. If you look in the back here, there's like hotel signs. This is Lee, Peart, Lifes, and obviously the surnames of the band. There's a newspaper right here. And this strip across here is completely white on this version. Now, I used to have the Anthem Records version. It's not rare, I just don't have it anymore. What this said was Dewey defeats Truman, which was in a false, prematurely false newspaper article that was published in the States about presidential election. And of course they couldn't use it in the States. So I wish I had the Canadian version to show you the difference here. But it's not that any one is any rarer than the other. This is just the version that I kept. So here's the back cover. Song titles along the top. Band members. Yeah, Mercury logo. Confirming what I'd hoped for Mercury did was indeed based out of Chicago. And of course, so we have more waves going across here. The red Starman logo. Pictures of the group. These are the lyrics, the credits. Some more waves going across the top here. And the label itself, again a custom label. Waves going across here. It's kind of a grayish thing here. And now is one of the more obscure items I'm going to show you on this Rush episode of Tim's Vinyl Confessions. This is something that maybe some of you haven't seen before. This is a European-only compilation called Rush Through Time. And of course I don't have this on any other form. I think it was only available on record and cassette, maybe 8-track. It's got the Hemispheres logo, and what was unique about Rush too, among many other things, they never had a set logo that they used throughout their career, which is unusual. It changed on almost every release. So the photo of the band on stage. Back cover. I can only assume this came out in 1981 because it goes all the way up to Moving Pictures. So here are their album covers up until then. Although, as far as the song titles go, let me read the song titles to you. Side 1, Fly By Night, Making Memories, Bastille Day, Something for Nothing, Cinderella Man, Anthem. Side 2, 2112 Overture and Temples of Syrinx, The Twilight Zone, Best I Can, Closer to the Heart, and In the End. So there's nothing unreleased on this. It's just the fact that this came out actually this version is printed in the Netherlands. So this came out in Europe and it didn't come out anywhere else. Kind of makes it unique. So this came in a glossy white sleeve. I found this record completely by accident. It's actually a little bit warped. You can see there, I don't think this is playable because it's kind of bowed. This is an International Mercury logo, made in Holland here. So there it says made in the Netherlands, here it says made in Holland. What the difference is, I have no idea. So that's Rush Through Time. That is probably the rarest Rush album that I have. I guess I did Rush Through Time a little bit premature because it actually had this album cover on it. But anyway, this is Moving Pictures. This is the biggest selling Rush album, best known Rush album, and very, very iconic album cover. If people own one Rush album, it's usually this one. This Moving Pictures, of course, a lot of puns. Here's some people that are being touched, being moved by the pictures they see. These are some guys literally moving pictures. There are, just references galore. There's a Starman picture. It's a picture of Joan of Arc, like the song Witch Hunt. Dogs playing poker, of course. And this is the Parliament building in Toronto, and I'm not ashamed to say that in 2004 I had my picture taken in front of here, and I made my own CD version of me in front of the Parliament building and made my own Moving Pictures cover out of it. If you're a Beatles fan, it's the equivalent of walking across Abbey Road. It's just one of those things. Here's the back cover. Same set, just the dismantling of it and all the behind the scenes people. This is a Canadian version on Anthem Records. Song titles up here. Pictures of the band, credits, and song titles, all written in red. Custom logo, the same Rush Moving Pictures font as on the front cover. Next up was a second Rush live album, also released in 1981. Exit Stage Left. And I love this album cover for a lot of reasons, and it just brings back to why I do this vinyl show, why I collect vinyl. Because between this gatefold here, between this front and back cover, this references all of the Rush albums to date. The Best of Kansas does the very same thing. This one is easier because it's gatefold, so I can show you both at the same time. There's the original Rush logo, as was written on the front cover. There's the owl from the Fly By Night album cover. This is the Caress of Steel album cover in this picture frame. Starman could be 2112 or All the World's a Stage. There's the Puppet King and a crown from the Farewell to Kings. The naked dude from the Hemispheres album cover. This is the girl from the cover of Moving Pictures. This is the other guy that's on the cover of the Hemispheres album cover. And these are the movers they're moving this picture. And of course, that's a concert crowd, and she's pulling back the curtain. Inside, which is red on this side, pictures of the band, credits. And as far as what the actual records look like, this copy here just has plain white paper sleeves. I like the logo they used for Exit Stage Left. Like I said before, they never used the same logo twice, I don't think. This is similar to the Moving Pictures logo, but not exactly. That was the first record. This is the second one. Same logo. Next up, 1982 brought Signals. So it says Rush, Signals, dog sniffing a fire hydrant. Ha 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 ha, get it? And Signals. What does that mean? Thankfully the back cover doesn't continue that. Let's get this little map drawn here. Song titles. This is a Canadian edition. This sleeve is a hard cardboard finish. It's not just a paper finish. So these ones probably cost more to manufacture, but I will say from a collecting point of view they definitely hold up better. So the lyrics of the songs are here. Sort of digitized pictures of the group and all the credits. And another customized label, fire hydrant. Same on both sides. 1984 Rush album, Grace Under Pressure. This was either owned by a radio station or a record label or a record store. Just got a hole punched through it. There's a lot to see in this album cover that you definitely don't see all of if you don't have a vinyl version to compare it to. There's like an I here. This has a P and then an over G. So Grace Under Pressure, sort of the unofficial logo here. This is a Canadian version. Portrait of the band, song titles, a little bit of ring wear. As far as sleeve is concerned, here we go. Again, keeping with the Grace Under Pressure thing, there's an egg in a C-clamp. Song titles and credits. Customized Grace Under Pressure logo. In 1985. Power windows. So he's opening that old window with the remote control. Power windows. More plays on words. Typical of Rush, typical of Hugh Syme. Back cover, song titles. And this is a Canadian version, Anthem. It's a Columbia House issue. Just one of those things. You notice it more on cassettes and CDs, but on records it's really the fine print. Pictures of the group, song titles and credits, and like Signals, this has a hard cardboard sleeve, and they hold up much better. Now, it's the first time I've seen this in a while, back to this Anthem logo. I wonder if it's because it's a Columbia House issue, if it doesn't have a customized Power Windows logo, like with the binocular, guy looked through the binoculars. I'm not sure about that, but this is the version that I have. The next Rush album is one of a handful that I have, that I bought unopened. So this is Hold Your Fire. It came out in 1987. It still has the original sticker that came out on it. It says Rush, Hold Your Fire, includes Force 10, Time Stand Still. It's got a chunk taken out of this. I remember buying this, and it wasn't bought new. It was bought about 1982 or 1992, and I've never opened it. Don't plan on opening it. It's all red on the back cover. Song titles, production credits. This is a Mercury Polygram issue. This is a U.S. copy. Never been opened. The final Rush album to come out on Mercury Records or Polygram Records came out in 1989. It's another live album, A Show of Hands. So you don't see this one on vinyl all that much. This is I found this, it's got stains on this. It's supposed to be just completely white, but this has got stains on it. But I wasn't going to complain because you don't see it very often. It's all the songs. And this is a gatefold. Some pictures of the group, some of the animations they were using at the time. and the credits. Let's see what the records look like. Plain white sleeves. Get this little graphic on the label itself. And obviously this wasn't original because one's white paper and one is just a clear plastic sleeve. So somewhere along the way, this wasn't the original way it was packaged. It's the way it ended up. This vinyl's in really good shape too. So in 1989, in the US, Rush switched to Atlantic Records, and it was years before I found this on vinyl. This is Presto. So this is Rush Presto. Rabbits coming out of this hat. And if it looks like there's plastic on this, it's because there is. When I bought it, whoever bought it kept the plastic on it, but they opened it, so I can look inside of this one. And on the back cover, of course, by now this is a U.S. copy, but they still have the Anthem Records, Anthem Entertainment logo on here. And this too, obviously, this has the original sticker that came on it, which is kind of neat. It includes Show Don't Tell, The Pass, Superconductor. Those were the 3 singles and videos. Paper sleeve. Rock, paper, scissors. Refers to the song Hand Over Fist. Band members. And lyrics and credits. And this record is in just pristine shape. Vintage Atlantic logo. Through most of the 80s, Atlantic Records used a red and green logo on their vinyl, but I think this is a throwback to an earlier one. It's very classic looking. The printing looks more modern. Of course, by the late 80s, there weren't a lot of albums on vinyl, so I was very excited to actually find this one. This came out in late '89. Just a couple more things to show you. Rush vinyl pretty much ended for me there, but I do have a couple more things, as I say. Bought this in 2004. This is brand new. I've never opened it. Don't plan on it. This came out in 2004. This is the Feedback EP. It's an album. I call it 8 songs on it, but they call it an EP. So all the song titles on here. This is about a handful of albums I have from the 2000s and beyond. This is just like the front and back cover of the CD. And I'm not sure what's in it, so because I haven't opened it, I'm not going to open it. This is probably the only. I bought this in Canada, but it's an import. It's on Atlantic Records, so I'm willing to bet that there probably isn't an Anthem strictly Canada only version of it. But I'm very glad to have this copy. And I've got one more thing to show you by Rush. I don't have any picture sleeves up until this point. This is a single that came out in 2010, and these are 2 songs, Caravan and BU2B, that came out 2 years in advance of the album that they would end up on, Clockwork Angels. But this was a special record store day release. This is still in plastic. It's not opened. This is an Anthem/Atlantic version of it. Cool graphic on the back. And that's my Rush vinyl collection. Rush.com is their website. Lots of other cool fan sites for Rush on the net. That's my vinyl collection of Rush. And Tim's Vinyl Confessions. There's more episodes to check out if this is the first one you've seen. Thank you for watching, all the people out there in the vinyl community. I know there's a lot of us out there, and I appreciate you taking the time to watch my episodes. And feel free to browse, type in Tim's Vinyl Confessions, and check out more.